expect them. Yes, they are. We will be rolling them out and activating them because, fun fact, the benchmarks are already running on your devices. With one of the later releases, we already rolled them out to all the devices. But what we have not rolled out yet is the actual rewards being handed out or paid based on benchmarks. This obviously will have some major impacts. That's why we're still testing this now on the DevNet, where, by the way, if you feel brave enough, you could onboard a device. However, the DevNet, unlike our CanaryNet, is from time to time reset completely. So yeah, it's really just for developer on that side. So long story short, any idea when to expect them? I would say that this will definitely be up and running in the next month. So it's very, very short. I think it will be even earlier, to be honest, because on the technical side, everything is already in place. The only blocker there is that we're testing. And as you know, now we have 70,000 devices that are onboarded. And if we roll something out that would impact those devices, we don't want that. That's why we want to have this always very properly tested before. So next question, Junior, the dropped heartbeats are a big bother. I believe the reception window on your end is too small. I sent a DM to Pascal and Lincoln with details. All right. So the heartbeats basically should be happening in an interval of, I believe, 30 minutes. It's what today is the range. We can create a bigger time window for when the heartbeat comes back. But I do believe that the main reason why we see people having drops on the heartbeat side is the internet connectivity. So what we will do here is we'll be taking a look at your specific setup. Maybe you can also share your geolocation where you're living in, because maybe there is a little latency issue on that side. And we'll work out a solution. But in the meantime, please also check from your side if your internet connectivity is completely stable. All right, then Cryptid Crypto. So the question is, will the benchmark rewards stay on the mainnet? Yes, rewards will stay on the mainnet. Because ultimately, the way you have to look at this is that similar to how Bitcoin is providing the service of payments and paying block producers and kind of these entities who are making sure that the ledger is calculated correctly, incentivizing them with the block rewards, right? This will be very, very similar on the testnet very soon, on the mainnet from day one. There will be a fixed inflation that will be distributed to whoever is ready to provide compute, not only the people that are actually providing compute, which, by the way, since yesterday are way more people because we launched this deploy or vibe code and deploy functionality where you basically can just say what kind of website or game you would like to have deployed on Accurist and then deploy it. And we already have more than 300 deployments since we launched it yesterday, and this is less than 24 hours, which is really impressive because each deployment basically for stability reasons runs then on 5 devices. This means that we just gave work to 1,500 processors in this very short time. So that's super exciting on that side. But long story short, the rewards will still be handed out also for compute availability. What will change on Mainnet is that you won't have this bootstrap campaign. This means that the inflation is fixed and is then distributed among all the participants based on their weight of the compute benchmark. All right, next one. Alex P. What chain will Accurist be operating on, or we will be on multi-chain? And then the next question is, which centralized exchange is the team aiming and prioritizing to get ACU listed? And then the good old question of what will be the CACU to ACU conversion. Now, let me start with the CACU to ACU conversion. I know that this is a question that bothers and many people are interested in knowing. I really do. But the reality of things is that the mechanics of how this conversion will happen is not fixed yet. So I don't have that answer for you as of now. We are finalizing it, and the minute it is final, we'll be announcing and showing this publicly in a very transparent way, so that everyone can then also share their feedback on that. But as of today, that is not something that we can answer. That being said, though, CACU is for the Canary Net. The Canary Net will stay relevant even after the Mainnet launch. So it's not just a testnet token. This is where all of the bleeding edge updates will be tested first. And now you start also realizing why this mechanics is not that easy to specify, because what we ultimately want to do is to have a unified ecosystem of compute and not one that is split in CACU and ACU. This is basically where a lot of the discussion is kind of focusing on. CACU will become transferable. CACU will be also traded. Nevertheless, there will be a conversion, and we will share that the minute we have everything specified. And then the other questions, which centralized exchange will it be listed? So what I can say on this side is that we are in talks with many of the tier 1 exchanges, and also have already a couple of offers and proposals on what we can do with tier 2 exchanges. The mainnet launch and TGE ultimately, which is now planned for Q3 of this year, is what the team will be focused on right after the sale. The sale ends today at 5 p.m. UTC. So you see that is one of the next main focus points. Once everything is there as well, kind of signed and set up, we'll be sharing that information with the team. As of today, with the community, as of today, we have not finalized that list yet on the centralized exchange side. And what chain will Accurist be operating on? Well, the Accurist kind of orchestrator. This is the thing that basically is paying you rewards, where you are registering your compute, advertising your compute, and someone else can then start utilizing that compute, is an own chain. However, we do appreciate and understand that nowadays you cannot live in a silo. This means that the actual Accurist token, as well as the functionality of offering compute to other ecosystems, has been designed from day one to be multi-chain. So what does this mean? Accurist, the token, will be available as a native wrapped token on other ecosystems, such as Ethereum for sure, and then also a couple of other ecosystems that we are now in talks, but the idea is to have this in as many ecosystems as possible. So for sure, wherever there is a lot of liquidity, because we want to make this as accessible as possible to everyone. Then, Gabriel, when can we commit unused GB for cloud storage? That's a cool question. We have a project ongoing where we are porting Min.io, which is a very well-known distributed storage solution that has been developed by some engineers at Google, to Accurus. This is ongoing and is already looking very promising. The minute that reaches production scale quality or production grade quality, we'll be able to also roll this out onto all the devices that we have already on the network. This means that moment you'll be able to also then commit those unused GB as cloud storage. And on the other hand, also use them. The cool thing about Min.io is that you get standard default S3 APIs. This means it's compatible with a lot of tools. All right. And Russ, is there a chance that the Android 11 will be no longer working in the future updates? I mean, some Android 11 devices today already cannot be onboarded for the simple reason that they don't get attestations. Now, will they continue to get attestation forever? I don't know, because that's a little bit out of our hands. But as long as they get security attestations of their environments, we'll be able to support them on-chain. So this is really more a question for the hardware manufacturer than it is for us, to be honest. We will do our best to support as many devices as possible, but security really plays a huge and major role here, because without security, you end up in a situation where you can fake the hardware, which we obviously don't want, because it would be a unfair game for everyone, and or B, then also tamper with the execution that someone is giving you, which obviously we also don't want. That's why there is this limitation. That's why security is so important. So long story short, we don't know, and it's a little bit out of our hands on that side. So Junior, right now the reception window is okay. Fine. So we can definitely look at that. This is now back to the question that we had before with the heartbeats. If it is really so close, we can definitely make the threshold a bit bigger and find a solution that works for you. Now, Orwell was Energy Web. How many years running Accurus phone and complete hiding and secrecy of the CACU to ACU conversion, not favorable to community trust, building and opposite of transparent? I don't think that is a question, but I believe that the question here is probably, hey, I would like to know what the conversion from CACU to ACU is. The answer will not change if we ask this more, because if we would have already specified everything on that side, then I would be very happy to answer that. What I can say, however, is that the CACU will continue to live. We already did answer that in a question before. Now, will you have SQL available in the future, or will you be using a second provider? Yes, we will have SQL available in the future. We're already looking at a couple of the solutions out there to port them directly onto Accurus, things like Postgres with their distributed setup, where they have a primary and then secondary servers. Those are all solutions that we're currently looking at, because SQL obviously plays a very big role, especially for enterprises, and we want to make that something that is available for developers. Then Michael Briggs, hey y'all, hi Michael, nice that you're joining us. Then Doug, I have phones with different times showing on the clock. Is that normal for some specific reason? The protocol is identifying a different location, although they are in the same Wi-Fi. It's difficult for me to tell you. I think this is something that we'll probably need to work out also with the tech people, what the issue really is on this side. Then Orwell was Energy Web, 20K admission for just North America would be appropriate because the people could not participate in the coin list. That's an interesting idea, actually. I think that this could be potentially done. That's an interesting idea. We just need to make sure that this is not something that can be cheated, but I like the idea. So that's something good to think about. We'll keep this in the back of our hands. I'll make sure that we work out a solution on that side. Then I got it for you. Regarding staking, will there be a locked-in period or can we run unstaked at any time we want to? We also want to know which projects are we competing with, or at least we are aiming to become a better version of it. All right. Now, it's really important from an accuracy perspective that anybody and everybody can start providing compute without the need of any token, okay? Without the need of any stake, without the need of any special hardware. Everybody should be able to just start and participate. That being said, though, when it comes to staking, we will want to have a compute commitment that basically the network and people that are deploying on the network can count on. What do I mean by that? If I decide that it would be a good thing to start deploying things on Accuracy, I want to know that this compute will still be available in a year's time, right? That's why we introduced this concept of staked compute. And it is kind of a separate pool, okay? It's separate from the non-staked compute pool. And if you want to be part of the staked compute pool, obviously you will have to stake, because that's the only way how you can, from a crypto economic way, offer this security that someone will be providing what they said they would. But we will always have also this completely unstaked version. And now, which projects are we competing with? Or at least we're aiming to become a better version of it. The short answer here is basically the hyperscalers, okay? So Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, with their Lambda serverless offering, are offering a competing product, or we are, as an underdog, trying to offer an alternative to this centralized setup. On the Web3 space, I don't think that the projects that are in the compute space necessarily are competitors, to be honest, because many of them we also try to work with closely, because I think that we need to work all together to ultimately find an alternative that is decentralized for humanity, and that's what we're trying to do on that side. All right. Now, Lee, what causes a device rating to fall to 0 when everything seems to be running well? from the console and similar devices, and they're scoring well. Now, the reputation system is actually quite sophisticated and always depends on if you were supposed to do an execution of a workload and you didn't report back that execution for whatever reason, your score will be impacted. Now, I do know for a fact that there are a couple of things that we need to tune still on the reputation system, because there are a couple of bugs on that side that we need to work out before that. So don't get too upset for now. The reputation does not it's really just an indicator for now, and an indicator also for us to understand if there are problems that we need to sort out on that side first. So yeah, that's on that side. Francis Lucas, I'll try to actually accelerate a little bit here because we still have a lot of questions to go through, and my time is a little bit running out. But all right, Francis Lucas. I've heard newer Xiaomi and Poco phones, especially those that are running Android 15, are not able to attest even if they're not rooted and bootloader is not unlocked. I wonder what's the reason behind. So we would need to check what the reason is behind that. The technical reason behind that is that you are showing the network a attestation, and that attestation does not seem to be coming from the original equipment manufacturer. So without that attestation, we don't know if the hardware is ultimately real, okay? From a protocol perspective, I'm not saying that your hardware is not real from a physical perspective. This can have many reasons. One can be that maybe there are now new hardware manufacturer certificates that we need to add to the network. So that's something that we can take a look at. Or it's a complete new manufacturer that we were not aware of before. So what I would suggest here is that we try to basically reproduce this exact behavior on our side by purchasing those phones. If you can share the specific models, we'll be able to do that. And then we'll also be able to work out and understand why some of them cannot be onboarded. So, Junior, again, will you have the tools we can execute from our end to troubleshoot our devices and connections? Yes, not only that, we'll also have a benchmarking tool where you'll be able to benchmark a device without actually enrolling it. So this would allow you to basically run in a shop, download the app, start the benchmark, see how it performs before actually buying those devices. So that's one of the things. And then obviously as well for the connections and connectivity, that's something that will be putting more effort on, and also a lot of the funds that we are now raising through the CoinList sale are directed at exactly these kind of things, moving from this MVP stage to the final fully fledged product is basically what we're doing. Luke Wright, thanks for all the work. You're welcome. That you all have put into Acurus over the last few years, and CellHasher has a benchmark tool too. Amazing. Shout out to CellHasher, Luke. You know we love you. And I have to say what you've been working on has been very, very beneficial for the community. We'll be giving out as well new CellHashers very, very soon for more people to try this amazing product. And I know that we'll have a couple of hardware updates and probably a very big announcement soon on that side. I'm really excited about that. Luke, we're happy to have you on board, obviously. Then, Francis Lucas, are the processors going to continue earning CACU even after the 2G, or will they be earning ACU moving forward? That's a very good question, and this goes a little bit in the mechanics discussion. The way the team is looking at this is that we want it to be as seamless as possible, and now are looking at various solutions on that side. And when I mean as seamless as possible, you should be able to effectively just transition to the mainnet with the click of a button on that side, or automatically. So yeah, that's something that is also part of that specific mechanic side, and also part of the complexity really that I mentioned before. All right, Xiaomi Poco X5 Pro. So that's the thing mentioned by Francis Lucas, probably. So we'll take a look at that specifically, if we can find those devices, and if not, the team will be there to troubleshoot that with you. All right, then Rob's AMD X64. Do high-end devices get more rewards than lower ones? This is a simple question which does not have a simple answer to it, because I could now say yes, obviously, but it's not necessarily said that the benchmark will be really higher on the high-end phones. Okay, so what I mean by that is that there might be a line of devices out there where you get a lot of bang for the buck, but maybe they don't have a good camera like the high-end flagship phones, but that's why they are cheaper but still have the best chips in them. So ultimately what Acuros will be looking at is just the raw performance of the device. We don't care about how much the device costed in the beginning. So obviously, if high-end phones have the best chips in them, they will be performing very, very well, probably and possibly also the best. But I do think that there is a lineup of devices that still have very, very good performance that are not considered high-end. And I think those will be the devices that are the most attractive to look at. Then, MetaGamer 1, which particular areas in Acuros having a blocker at the moment, and how much? All right, and how much ACU has been sold on Coinlist. So the information on the ACU will be released as soon as the sale finishes. This will be tonight, basically. And the maximum there was the 6.5% that we have. Then which particular areas is Acuros having a blocker at the moment? We're not necessarily having a blocker at the moment. We have now shipped some really, really cool things that we were not expecting to have such a big impact on the compute demand side, like the Vibe Code and Deploy that we released yesterday. Already now has more than 300 deployments on the network, on more than 1,500 devices of the network. So that has been amazing, because I know that many people were asking, like, what can I do with these compute and so on and so forth. Well, there you can actually feel it. You can deploy your own stuff. If you haven't done so yet, I really, really recommend you to do so. It basically takes one click. So it's very easy to do. What we can always improve is make people aware of this amazing project. I truly believe that this is groundbreaking and an entire revolution, because we're able to push for compute in areas where you cannot have compute. And so I think letting as many people know as you possibly can is how you can really help the project. And then obviously onboard compute. All right, then Axinos. Hi guys, I just joined. Did I miss any important information? Will there be a recording? I really hope that we will have a recording this time. I really do. But I will only be able to tell you right after the AMA. And yeah, I mean, you can see I basically managed to answer all of the questions. So Niklas is saying that he is recording everything. So yes, we should have this recording. All right, then turn it on. By the way, I still have 4 minutes to go. It's a really busy day on our side, also because of the sale, some last minute things to do there. That's why we'll finish this AMA session, but we'll do another one really soon. Because I see that the turnout of these is actually great. So we'll do another one really, really soon on that side. Then turn it on. Please take this seriously. Every time I hear you talk during interviews and answer questions during AMA, makes me want to swipe to buy more phones. I just want you to know that. Well, thank you. I do believe that the phones that you're onboarding are super valuable for the network. And I hope that by now people are also able to actually see what you can do with these little AI gods that you have in your pockets. And more on that very, very soon. Then, Junior, will our phones be providing compute on the Canary net and the mainnet at the same time? Now you hit the nerve. So, I cannot say too much on this, but the thing is that ultimately this is really something that we are trying to work out on that side to make that possible. But yeah, I don't want to promise something that we cannot do. That's why I'm very hesitant in announcing this already. But since you're asking this directly, it is really the wish and hope from the team that this will be possible, and we'll try our best to make it. All right, then. All right, Orwell was Energy Web. Any update or little alpha you can give with Accurist and Energy Web for the tech building side and so on and so forth. Is Accurist looking at the Green Software Foundation membership? So what we're able to do on the Energy website is basically run those worker nodes because they are Node.js compatible. You can just deploy them already today, but we will make it easier because you need some technical knowledge to be able to do so. So that's something that we will be improving on that side, on the partnership side as well. And then is Actress looking at the Green Software Foundation membership? Currently not, but it's actually a good input. We should be looking at that. I think the environmental impact that this solution has is very, very beneficial. So definitely good idea on that side. All right, now I will be really wrapping up everything. Now 45 is nearing. That's why let's see if I'm able to finish now the last questions. What events will Acros be at over the remaining part of the year? I mean, ECC in Cannes will be probably something where we will have people. We'll also have at East Berlin and the Web3 Summit people going. And then Token 2049 in Singapore is another one. Those are the main ones that come in mind from the top of my head. We also have a couple of things here in Switzerland and in Europe, and the ambassadors are organizing more and more events all around the globe. Hope we are able to see more of that as well. So, and if you have events that you think we should be attending, please share. We can always swing by if there is time for that. All right, Francis Lucas, please make it possible to ship the green phone shirt to be shipped globally, especially here in the Philippines. You know what? I'll make sure that someone with a package of 50 or so certs will visit the Philippines very, very soon. Shipping is not as easy as people would think. We had even phones that we were shipping out as gifts for the seasons of the Cloud Rebellion have been returned, sadly, sometimes because the logistical system is not as advanced as the crypto system yet. So, but yeah, we'll make sure. And where do you plan to post the audio? I cannot tell you that because that's on Nick, but Nick will make sure that it is visible for everyone. All right, cool. We managed to go through everything. I managed to be almost on time. 1 minute delay. Thank you so much for listening in. I hope this was interesting for everyone. And yeah, thank you so much for all the support. We'll be pushing for this together. Very glad to have everybody of you on board. All right. Take care.